Food to Go has become the forefront of hospitality. Our same ethos continues to be today. It hasn't changed. And that was to unite the industry, support the industry and grow the industry. We have now just launched the Food to Go all-party group in Stormont to tackle industry issues. If it wasn't for the food bloggers, especially Northern Ireland and UK, we wouldn't be where we are. To show that they're part of the industry, we actually have a Food Influencer of the Year award at our awards. But 10 years ago, every single community in Northern Ireland had a corner shop.
Yeah.
Had a small family-run corner shop. I guarantee they're not there anymore. If you lose that footprint, you lose the connection with the community. They were the first pizza place opened in Belfast through the Troubles. They would give some interesting stories, I'm sure.
I would love. Welcome to this Flipdish Takeaways podcast. I'm joined by Michael Henderson, CEO of the N.I Food-To-Go Association. Michael, thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, big journey down from the north, so appreciate the time. Also, you've shown me up here first guest in a suit. I'm horrendously underdressed now in runners over here, but thank you for...
Yeah, we have other meetings after, so apologies.
Okay, well, it wasn't just for us then. Sound, okay, that's fine. So tell us, how did you get into all of this? Where did your journey with hospitality begin? Like, take us back to the start.
So, my mum and dad had food to go businesses. They owned a cafe and a fish and chip shop. Okay. My dad had the entrepreneur gene, if you would call that. But me personally, part of my journey started at Flipdish.
Okay.
I was a Northern Ireland national manager, regional manager for Just Eat.
Okay.
For many years. And then I became an employee of Flipdish for a short period of time. I didn't know you knew that.
We won't say anything else about that.
But from them roles, I got to meet small independent businesses. And one thing that echoed through every meeting I had was they had no support or no voice. Now this is going back when we founded 7 years ago. Hospitality was seen as hotel, bars and restaurants. Anything below that was not recognised as an industry.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of showed through even the correspondence by our media and our politicians, you know. But that's what really gave me the idea to start. Back then, it was the Takeaway Association. Okay. So we created the Takeaway Association in June 2019. We just started with a group of 6 members in a room saying, we'll try to get something off the ground to get you some voice.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, we did not expect it to go like how fast we're growing. But yes, that's where we started. The main aspect of it was our same ethos continues to be today. It hasn't changed. And that was to unite the industry, support the industry and grow the industry. Back then we had 5 pizza shops. Now we grew to over 1,100 members.
Wow! Congratulations.
And that's it. And again, we got this here because of the no recognition or no support for the food to go industry.
And is that something that you felt like people were calling out for, or was this something that the restaurants you spoke to just accepted that this is the way it was and that was going to be their life?
Well, that was our first year was very difficult. It was a very difficult first year because of exactly what you said there. A lot of small independents were just used to not getting support.
Yeah.
They were just used to it. I'll just struggle on myself. I'll do it myself. I'm used to doing it myself. That's because no one reached out to give them support. They never get invited to these networking events. They never get offered these support. Or when they did, there was a catch.
Yeah.
When there was all small businesses, you're giving me support, but what's the catch? And that was their mindset. So we had to change that mindset and say that we're actually here to support the industry. And the first year was difficult. Now we grew in numbers, But it wasn't really until COVID hit, that's when we really excelled. And that was because the UK government split hospitality. As the Food-To-Go was allowed to open, hospitality had to close.
Okay. Yeah.
So that really when we excelled during COVID, and that's when our numbers, we had over 320 members signed up during COVID.
Wow. Okay. So.
And that was because they know where to turn. The correspondence between UK government and businesses changed every week, and I think that every government across the world changed every week. We were liaising with our in Stormont politicians. We were liaising with councils. We were liaising, across the board. We were a still operating business and an operating industry. So we came to the forefront of hospitality very quickly, and that was really the springboard from where we are today.
And did you see it as a kind of a struggle maybe to get those members who are joining those Food-To-Go businesses to start seeing each other as, part of the same group rather than competitors or someone that they're trying to take our customers? And was that something that you had to change a mindset there as well?
Yes, it was. Our industry was always a dog eat dog.
Yeah.
It's you're up against your competition, and if it's not your customers, it's going to be ours, and that's the way we tried. Our blueprint to our association is very different to much others. And you'll probably hear everybody association saying that. But in the Food-To-Go industry, there's many associations with specific parts of the industry. So you have fish and chips, you have the Chinese, you have in different parts of the Food-To-Go industry. We're the only UK association of Food-To-Go that umbrellas the whole industry. So the diversity in our association is huge. Near a third of our membership base is classed as ethnic minority groups.
Right, great.
But to come back to your question, yes, when we started off, we didn't know what support we needed to give. We were only a new association, and we were going by from what our members told us. So I think the first support they needed, obviously, was the support during COVID. Liaising with them, I think there was one time you had to close at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Yeah, right. It was just kind of comms. And then we grew from that to our services. And we couldn't bring in partners like Flipdish, like Henderson's, like Coca-Cola until we got the numbers. Yeah. So we couldn't go in bulk to get these exclusive deals if we didn't have the numbers. So it was kind of...
It's cart before the horse kind of situation.
Yes. Yeah. So it was very slow start. COVID took over, and then we needed to sit down and kind of look at everything and what services we needed to do, and that's where we started we started shaping the association.
Okay, yeah.
But that's where we grew the Takeaway Association. In January 2024, we introduced our new chairperson, Ciara Campbell, Director of Henderson's Food Service, and then we sat down and looked at our membership base then. Our membership base back then, if I can remember rightly, I think it was 790, 780. But there was 330 cafés and delis. There was 21 ice cream vans. So it wasn't the takeaway we represented. And that's where the rebranding came in to the Food-To-Go industry. Okay. And that's where now you see who we represent. We represent everything below license trade, from your cafés and delis, your barista bars, your fast food takeaways. Your catering trucks is one of our most increasing side of the industry in memberships.
It's great to see.
But it's now, if you ask them businesses 4 or 5 years ago what industry you're in, they couldn't. Some would say retail, some would say hospitality. Yep. Now they have an industry that's recognised. Yeah. And they go on part of the mainland UK called the express food industry. We call Food-To-Go in Northern Ireland, but they now know they're part of an industry.
It's a bit of an identity, right? And a group to be part of and proud of, and
and that was our most difficult. Was one of our biggest difficulty. It was not just starting the association, was being seen and recognised in like the Stormont and Parliament buildings, because this new association. First of all, we don't even know what the I think that one of the media outlets called our industry at the start a backstreet industry, and that really kind of got my back up, because you know yourself, some of the hard and working people is in this food-to-go industry.
Absolutely. 6-7 days a week, like
yes,
12-hour days, 13-hour days. Like,
and I remember having the first interview. I think it was about 4 years ago. One of the interviews I had, and they were talking about the industry. They were talking about the takeaway industry, and we talked about overall how much contribution it does. Northern Ireland, there's no figures.
okay.
We're unsure how many stores there is in the food-to-go industry. We don't know what it brings into the economy. We don't know how many workers there is.
Wow.
Now, in the south, there's a lot of figures. The north, there's not. But that comes back to there was no recognition.
Yeah.
That comes back to they didn't recognise the industry. Some tell you it's retail, some tell you it's hospitality. Where's the numbers? There is none. So it just shows these hard-working businesses were not recognised.
And you mentioned Stormont there. What's your relationship like there? What are you guys doing in that kind of space at the moment?
So as every trade association, we meet with our ministers and our MLAs. We have now just launched the Food-to-Go all-party group in Stormont to tackle industry issues. Now, it's not going to be an overnight success, but at least we now have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And now we're recognised. Just last week we had a celebration of the food-to-go industry in Stormont. We had over 140 people coming there. And by that, we had business owners past and present. We had like Willie and Mike, who started Cape, the first ever pizza outlet in Belfast.
Wow, okay.
They were there. And what that was a lot of our small businesses don't get invited up to Stormont Parliament buildings. They know it's a larger hospitality individuals. So this was to bring them up and say, you are recognised for your hard work.
Yeah.
And this was a celebration for your hard work. And the industry is pushing on. Now, are we getting the support we need? No. But is it a step closer? Yes. We're holding people to account. Now we're in a situation to chat with these elected representatives and hold them to account if the support's not there. But we do speak to our MLAs and our politicians quite a lot now for the industry.
Any big ticket items that you're focusing on in that space, like any bills or anything like that you're...
Yeah, so we had there's a couple now in our last IPG. We always put questions out to our members before any all-party group to ask what their biggest issues are.
Okay.
One of the biggest issues that came back was recruitment.
Okay.
Recruitment and training. Now, we're an association, we don't wait about for support. Now, we call for it, we don't wait about it. Because our small businesses could be closed in a week.
Yeah.
We don't have that £100,000 mystery pot for marketing budget or to dig into. So we're now, I believe, the only trade association in Northern Ireland which is a facial training centre.
Okay, great.
AC training courses. We have 3 years ago we launched our recruitment support, where we have helped over 250 people get jobs in the industry through our recruitment support.
Amazing.
So we don't wait about. We go and tackle issues ourselves if we can. But the recruitment is a big thing. When there is now talk about this good jobs bill in Northern Ireland regarding about scrapping COR contracts and stuff like that. We are now trying to tackle that and try to amend it to help our small community businesses. The other things there that come up was the bigger players, third party commissions.
Okay. Yeah.
That was a big thing. Other not say names, but other aggregators who are due to be there to help the industry, but they're doing detrimental because of the costs. And our industry is one of the very few industries that this is only. And on top of all the other costs, this is one of the costs. One of the other issues that we said was back to this data piece.
Yeah. We,
as an industry, we want to release a report. We want to see where we've grown from. A UK stat said the food-to-go industry is due to grow by the UK food-to-go industry is due to grow by 48% by 2030. come 2030, we can't tell you that in Northern Ireland because we don't have data to see where we started from.
Yeah.
So we have called on the Department of Economy, we've called on other representatives in Northern Ireland to work together and get this data. So as an industry, we can say, this is what we're worth. You know, these hard-working family businesses. One of the I always say this when I'm up in Parliament buildings, and it would basically be the same story in the south. I don't have to ask where you're from, but 10 years ago, every single community in Northern Ireland had a corner shop.
Yeah.
Had a small family-run corner shop. I guarantee they're not there anymore due to Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, the big name players coming and taking away.
Yeah.
The food-to-go industry is probably the only industry that still has a footprint in every single community in Northern Ireland. May it be bakery, takeaway, barista bar, cafe or deli. We are across the whole island, we're probably the only industry that has a footprint in every single community in Northern Ireland. If you lose that footprint, you lose the connection with the community. And that is not even touching on the support our businesses give to the communities.
Yeah.
They support the local youth clubs, they support the football clubs, the boxers, you know, the dance groups.
Yeah.
They give back.
Absolutely.
But the one thing they never do, it's not highly promoted because they do it because they're part of the community. They're part of the build-up of the community. And they do it out of their own kindness and they know what the community aspect means. So our industry is a community industry. Yes, there's big brands. There is more Americanisation coming into Northern Ireland and the UK. But the food-to-go industry is 95% small, family-run community businesses. And that's what makes it unique.
Why do you think is the reason that there isn't that data there? That really kind of shocked me to hear that they're not reporting on that. Is it just a case that it just got overlooked, or is it a case of they don't want to know because if they knew how much this was bringing in, they knew they'd have to support it more because you'd have to acknowledge then that it's a huge player in the Northern Irish economy?
I think kind of two ways there. I think there was just no recognition for it. No one asked for it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just there. You know, it was. They probably walked past, getting the Stormont, they probably walked past 6 or 7 delis, 5 pizza shops, two Chinese places, a kebab shop, and they never and they probably didn't notice them.
Yeah.
But you walk past 2 hotels and a restaurant and a bar, you know exactly them. You know, I could ask tomorrow how many hotels we have, how many staff they have, and what to generate. I'll be told to the exact penny. Same with restaurants and bars. No one was ever just pushed on this, you know. They didn't know, you know. Some of them were saying, "I sit with retail, I sit with hospitality." Okay, well, pull them figures out and give us them. No, you know. We asked the data collecting agency for Northern Ireland how many stores we have, just for example, and they told us just over 2,000. We asked Food Standards Agency and they said 17,500. So that just shows you the clear gap there of what data is for our industry. Now that kicks into the workers, how many workers do we employ? And then that comes into what do we contribute to the economy, which then that gives us a base of this is what we're worth.
Yeah.
And this gives us a stronger voice as an industry across all community groups, all diversity aspects of the community and the industry to go as one voice and say, we demand the support. But right now, it's hard to because we can't back it up with figures.
Yeah.
So this is where we are really pushing to get the data, to get a report out, hopefully by the start of next year, so the industry can say, right, okay, we are on par with some of these bigger industries.
Yeah.
We do deserve this support. Okay, we're small family-run community businesses, but Northern Ireland's made up of 89% small businesses.
Exactly.
So they make the landscape of Northern Ireland.
And they're all paying taxes and they should be seeing the benefit of those.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it was not ever asked for. The industry was not recognised. And this is where we always fought to start to get recognition. And this is what our biggest obstacle was, being recognised. Now we kind of force ourselves to be recognised.
Yeah.
And then it was, right, okay, now you're recognised. We don't have the data. Now you have to do a whole data pool and get it.
Yeah.
So, but I think they understand now, Food-to-Go has become the forefront of hospitality. unfortunately, other sides of hospitality are struggling, and our thoughts are with that side of hospitality. And we hope that they do get that support they need to get back to where that was. But the food to go industry has continued to rise. You can see the volume coming through our stores. Yeah. Across the whole UK and Ireland. It is an industry through innovation, dedication, work rate. It has increased rapidly in the last 5 years. But let's not sugarcoat it. We got no support.
Yeah.
This industry has grown due to the hard work, the innovation, and the dedication of the people working in the industry.
Yeah, of course. And what does that's magic wand situation, what does that support if you could just go in there now, make whatever you wanted happen? What does that support look like? What do you want them to?
So, for example, let's talk about Northern Ireland. On per head, per business, we're paying higher rates than London.
Wow. Okay.
UK got, and after COVID, got 75% rate relief. And then last year, they reduced it to 40% rate relief. Since COVID, we didn't get 1 penny. We didn't get no rate relief. Wow. Now I look at the other side of Northern Ireland. I look at the south. They're due to go down to 9% VAT.
Yeah.
So everywhere around Northern Ireland, businesses are getting support in other aspects. But Northern Ireland, we were meant to be seen whenever Brexit came in as this glorious landscape, which it is. It has the opportunity to be fantastic. We have now the landscape and the opportunity to be one of the most glorious countries to have a business in. But right now the small business owners are kind of getting, it's like a slap in the face because other sides, the South and the UK mainland, are getting support and we're not. Again, I come back to the rate relief in the UK, the VAT in the South. You ask a small business in Northern Ireland what support they're getting. They can't tell you. We still see many closures. Every single week, we see at least 2 to 3 closures a week.
And does the government have the ability to reduce the VAT rate without it affecting mainland? Or is that something? I know
Yes.
we're at 13.5 now for hot food. It's obviously 20 in Northern Ireland. It's a big discrepancy there between the two, but do you see that moving? Is that realistic?
They can't change the VAT rate that hasn't come through Westminster.
Yeah.
But what I'm lobbying for and what the association's lobbying for, and we need more support in the mainland to go, is what you have down here is you have a split from food and hospitality VATs. In the UK, there's only one VAT. In many other European countries, there's a split of food and hospitality VAT. The UK government will not lower the VAT rate when it comes to hospitality. I think they need to give the hospitality businesses a fighting chance to survive. But from our aspect, we believe there should be a different approach to remove food from hospitality VAT. And let the food businesses get back to get that support and grow. It shows, the South of Ireland is a perfect example, it shows it works.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have dropped the 9 if it didn't work. The same in many European countries. They have the VAT extremely low, but we're just bracketing under the other hospitality in UK.
And it would obviously benefit restaurants in the mainland as well if they were to do that as well, or for the food to go businesses there as well, right? If they were to split those VAT rates, and it feels like it's a win-win for everyone. Yeah,
you see more people in the pocket. You see the business is growing, and you'll see other businesses wanting to invest as well. We do see more investment now in higher chain. There's yesterday, KFC has announced they're spending £700 million in UK and Ireland to open 500 new stores.
Okay.
They just announced yesterday. But in Northern Ireland now, we have brands who want to invest, but they're stalling investment because it's an unsure market. Yeah. Because of our VAT, we don't know where the next price hike's going to be. Yeah. The food, you look at what we're coming up against on our daily issues. The food increases are still there now. our businesses were told the food increases were due to, yes, Brexit and then the knock-off of the war in Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's settled. Okay, the war, and I don't mean the war, it's settled, the war's still going on. But other industries, the wholesaler side of things, have got on top of it. But they're not passing the prices down to small businesses. These prices are still as high or growing. These prices need to be shown down to the small businesses.
Absolutely.
And that goes across with energy companies. Now, we do have a great relationship with Budget Energy and Flowgas for our industry. And their pricing and customer service has been fantastic. But across the board, not just in our industry, and all small businesses, they still see the hikes in energy. But we're getting told it's settling. But the prices aren't showing that.
Yeah. Might be for them at the top, but not for the people.
It's not showing that, And it seems to be every week there's a different hike, if it's beef or if it's chicken, if it's dairy, there's a different hike. This didn't happen before COVID.
It's very rare a company will bring their price after going to a place and realizing that people will pay X amount. It's so rare that you actually see them go, well, we're going to reduce that now. It's if you keep going up, it's going to stay up, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the thing is, you use the reason of why it hiked. You can't not use that reason to bring it back down. If they say it's simply our costs are up, the way we're doing or making our product is up, so it needs to go up. But it wasn't. They used the different aspects of the global issues. So if you put them up because of global issues, you need to take them down because of the global issues also.
It just becomes greed then at that stage, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you got to remember, our small businesses are the last front-facing business before it goes to customers.
Yeah.
They don't see the wholesalers. The customers don't see the wholesalers.
Yeah.
They don't see the prices. They buy their ingredients in. So all they see is what our small businesses put on the board. And so if the prices go up, it's our small businesses who get attacked, who are saying, that owner's taking all that money.
Yeah.
But they don't see the behind the scenes of the wholesalers putting their prices up. The electric company, the labour costs now are going up. Especially I just mentioned the VAT and rates. All these costs are behind the scenes.
It's pricing people in the community out of the product as well, right?
Exactly.
So it's affecting not just the restaurant, but people who that's a highlight of their week to go and, get a takeaway or get something like that.
Well, that's the thing is, a couple of years ago, a meal or a snack from a food-to-go industry was a regular occurrence. Now it's a luxury.
Yeah.
And what we're fearful is, when does food-to-go stop and restaurant begin with the pricing?
Yeah.
If it keeps going like this, our small businesses need to increase their prices to survive. We've already seen a lot of small businesses having to cut hours or cut staff or cut a days even. A lot of ones are closing Monday and Tuesday now due to the increased costs just to make it profitable to keep the lights on.
Yeah. It's unmanageable and it can't be sustained. And I think governments will start to notice then that obviously there'll be a drop. It's probably easier for the Northern Irish government to ignore that because of the lack of data.
Yeah.
It's easier to say, well, we can't really see that. Do you have any figures roughly? Because I know in the South last year we lost an absolutely incredible amount of restaurants and food-to-go businesses. Any idea of what the kind of closure rate is like? We don't.
Now, we can say we've lost over 100 businesses since January last year.
Okay.
Now that's ones we know of.
Yeah.
There's many. When I say there's no data, we can go estimating data. What we can do. So we're saying roughly there's 10,500 businesses in the food-to-go industry in Northern Ireland. Now that's an estimation. We have no facts. We only cover a tenth of that, the association. Now we represent it all, but we only cover as members. So we only what we're getting told of what's closing. So there's a vast amount out there that we don't be told. So we know there's at least 100 closed since last January, and their small family-run businesses have an impact on the communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's an amazing amount of just reading stats on businesses that start up that fail within the first year, the first 2 years. I'm almost sure it's because they're not getting the support they need to actually get set up, thrive. Support like help with training, like finding good staff, all of that kind of stuff is obviously so important for them, right?
Yes, and we do see a lot of businesses close in the first 6 months, and that's not the food industry. I think that's all small businesses. What we always do, we try to support them with the mental health side to make sure they're sitting before an mental health officer coming in to see them, with their recruitment, get them the right deals right through from their EPOS systems to their, their apps and web and right across the board to make sure they have a solid platform. Because what we see in the food industry, there's a lot of people who's entrepreneur who could be a taxi driver, construction, and go, I'm going to open a food-to-go store. And that actually come from a food-to-go industry.
Yeah.
And then when they open it, they see very quickly it's not as easy as they thought. But so they rely on that industry knowledge, industry know-how, and the background and the support, which every small business should have automatically, to grow. Now, we're starting to see a lot of our members who are new businesses reach out, which is very positive, because they're getting on a solid footing to grow their business. But again, it needs to be, I believe, more support for new businesses.
Yeah.
I know that Northern Ireland has a Go Succeed programme, but I do think there's more support for if an entrepreneur or a business owner is willing to invest on opening a store to give towards the economy. I do believe there's more support needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was lucky enough to attend the Food-To-Go Awards last year. It was absolutely amazing event. I'd love to just hear a little bit about where the idea for that came from. Like, how did you get it going? It was one of the most impressive events I think I've ever been to. That's outside of work or anything like that. Absolutely unbelievable. So can you take me through from the idea? Like, where did it come to you in a dream? Like, what was the...
To believe it or not, we didn't want to do an award.
Okay.
Maybe not the answer you were expecting, but we are a trade association. You know what we do. We are there to unite, support, to grow the industry. We're not an awards event company. But
you could have fooled me anyway.
But with our members forced us into it, basically. What happened? There's other awards in Northern Ireland and other parts of the UK, which are not industry awards, are run by events companies. In London, they have a lot of official industry awards, which is, and in the south of Ireland as well, they have industry award, which showcases excellence. Which then our members started saying, okay, they don't want to enter other awards in the north. They don't want to spend thousands of pounds going to London. Why does Northern Ireland not have an industry award? So that's where it came from. We did say that if we do it to develop the industry. It's not a popularity award. It's not you just nominate. You have to do a bit of work. So in our awards, it's a bit different from most. It's not just put your name of your store and your contact details and your for the best. Where in our we break it down. Just things we talked about. You have to outlay what you do in the local community. What is your food standards agency score? What is your HR and team protocols? Okay, what makes you stand out? So they had to do this here before, and then that goes to the judging before they even mystery shop. Yeah. This goes to the judging. So the awards are to showcase excellence in the food-to-go industry in Northern Ireland. And just by last year, we had over 600 people attend the awards. We had hundreds of entries. We had a fantastic judging panel. Again, we have another fantastic judging panel this year, but everything done transparent.
Yeah.
The Food Standards Agency has put their stamp on it this year. They're going to be involved this year, which is huge.
Amazing.
They don't usually do things like that, but it just shows this is the official Food-to-Go Awards, the industry awards. Now, it took off rapidly last year. It was a fantastic event,
Wow, yeah.
And it was great at that event. We had recognition, we had Belfast Lord Mayor Mickey Murray talking at it. We had the Junior Minister Pam Cameron talking at it. We also had videos from the Economy Minister and stuff like that. Again, we expect this to be bigger and better this year. But that's where it came from. It came from giving our small businesses to get away from the ovens, to get away from behind that counter, to get away from the frying pans and go and put the glad rags on and go and enjoy the night. Now, we selected the date. We always will have it in that date in the Crown Plaza, which is fantastic. But the reason why we selected that date was that's the last quieter week before the Christmas rush. So you seen last year we had the Christmas trees up with everything, the Christmas feeling. So a lot of people use the Christmas parties. So we give them an opportunity to come out to enjoy, forget about work for one night, enjoy, be recognised, talk to other people in the industry, but also celebrate.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it's there for. It's a celebration and recognition of the food-to-go industry.
Well, I was walking that room and you could feel the people, you know, those tables of businesses together, and even make the mixed tables. I was lucky to be at a mixed table, but you could just see everyone, the joy of being with these people that you probably see day in, day out, but you're always in your, you know, your work gear or whatever, and everyone's dressed up and looking great. And you could almost you could feel the release of tension in the room. I just thought that was a really, obviously the advertising and everything is really important for the restaurants, but that's such an important part of, you know, getting out and spending time with your colleagues outside of, you know, the normal working scenario, which I just thought was fantastic. What's the situation this year? Where's the event? What date's it on? How do people get involved?
Yeah, so this year, same again, we're at the Crown Plaza on the 18th of November. We hope to go bigger, better. We still have we have a lot of fantastic sponsors like Henderson Food Service, Flipdish, with Coca-Cola, to name a few. But we have a Budget Energy. You know, we have a lot of high-profile sponsors this year. The opening date's open until tomorrow evening, so we probably
No, you're gonna miss this.
You're gonna miss this, so we'll cut that bit out. If they for more information on it, they can go to the website, which is food2goawards.co.uk. But we do expect this year to be bigger and better. But a number of entries already, we think we're going to surpass now. We will surpass last year's entry.
Okay. And can you attend even if you're not nominated?
So the tickets go on sale. So once the finalist gets announced, we put the tickets on sale on our website.
Fantastic.
And we expect after last year, we expect the tickets to go pretty quickly.
Yeah, the room was absolutely packed last year. There wasn't a free seat in the house.
So we expect the tickets to go pretty quickly this year once the tickets go on sale.
Yeah. You had a fantastic comedian as well. Who was that did the...
Yeah, Paddy McDonald, done comedian last year. Paddy, I know Paddy for years.
He was amazing.
He's originally from Belfast, where I'm from, as well, side of Belfast I'm from.
Yeah.
And he, believe it or not, Paddy is like that in real life.
Oh, is he?
You know, he doesn't just do that from the stage. If we talk to Paddy in a cafe or deli, he would be that type of person also. That just seems to be Paddy. The only difference is he has a mic in front of him. But I think that makes him so good. And last year he had the room
in bits. Yeah. There were some things I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to laugh at this. Do I even understand this joke?
Yes, he does sit on the line. He does sit on the fence a couple of things, but I think that makes him relatable.
Yeah.
You know, our industry is, and this is everything down to the awards. And like this year now, we have Grey's Communication and Events Company is fantastic. But every detail about the awards. So our comedian, we do a comedian that relates to our industry.
Yeah.
Our host, Abe Sessi.
Yeah, brilliant.
Is fantastic. You know, he's relatable to the industry. Everybody loves him. You know, the women love his good looks. You know, everything about it. And even this year, the comedian we have this year again is one of the best in Northern Ireland, you know. So it's not just an award show. We make sure there's an entertainment piece to it. You just don't get your dinner and get your awards and leave. You know, that's why there's that comedian side, there's entertainment side. It's a night out of celebration.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it this year.
Yeah, I danced the night away to that DJ as well in the bar then after as well.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant. So tell us a little bit about the Flipdish partnership that you have going at the moment. How does that look, and how does that support your customers?
Yeah, so Flipdish is our app and web partner for the association. They have been fantastic. Not just for the quality of their service, but what we're hearing back from our members. Every member that comes on board with yourselves, we always ask them if our member, we always follow up. And it's not just down to the quality, it's the customer service seems to be the first thing they say. The quality just, you know, they expect the quality, and that because if it is renowned for the quality it does, but the customer service aspect they seem to be blown away from.
So good.
And that is what we as an industry, us as an association, is delighted about, you know. And it's not due to the connection I had, you know, I knew Connor James from when I worked here and stuff like that, and Declan. But when we were an association for many years, we weren't a partnership.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as if the association automatically just started with Flipdish. You know, it wasn't until it was the right time so we could give the right deal to our members, and also vice versa, our deal believe in Flipdish. But I've seen the last, you'll probably be better telling me, in the last year since we've, I think we're in our second year now of partnership, we've seen a real increase in Northern Ireland.
Great.
Of businesses now, and I think that's not just down to the association, but down to the hard work of the people you have in the north. And the product you provide.
So good to hear, and it's so good to hear. Obviously, you're so passionate about the industry. It's nice to hear that you know will recommend Flipdish to the people within the group, because I think, you know, it would be very easy for you just to take a partnership and just say, oh yeah, this is good, go on, take that, without knowing that it is, or without believing in it. So it is nice to hear that you do believe in the product as well.
Well, that's what we do. You know, we don't. Many other trade associations or many other associations across the UK, they partner with 5 or 6. So app companies or packaging partners. We don't. We select one.
Yeah.
We vet the one we do to make sure that we stand by that as an association. That's why we only have one energy supplier, one Seuss Packaging as our packaging partner, yourselves as the App and Way partner. You know, it means we can put our foot and say these are the best.
Yeah.
These are the guys we recommend. And with Flipdish, I mentioned earlier in the conversation that the other third-party aggregators is taking advantage of the industry. But on the other side, online ordering is the future of the industry. So companies like Flipdish, who don't charge a third of their commissions, but still giving the small businesses the opportunity to hit the online market and actually brand it in their way that they see fit.
Yeah.
So that is huge for the industry and huge for small businesses. Again, Flipdish, and this is the thing which really surprised a lot of people, when they see the quality of Flipdish, they go, oh, I can't afford that. Because of the quality, because they think you have to be a McDonald's or a KFC. But when they hear the deal we have with yourselves, they go, get them to call me right away. And that's due to the great product you have, and the work you do for small businesses that I've seen firsthand is remarkable. And I don't think this is going to be a 2-year partnership. I think this will be a long term, because I see more and more of our small businesses needing the product.
That's great to hear. Yeah, and they are our ICP. You know, we are trying to help those smaller businesses thrive in a very competitive, like you just obviously mentioned earlier on in our conversation, 500 new stores at KFC, like all of these coming into that space. You know, that challenges these small mom and pop type stores that we have, these family run stores. So yeah, we want to provide technology that they'll see in McDonald's or they'll see in KFC or wherever, and be able to match them without having to, you know, be multi-billion euro companies to do that. So yeah, it is so good to hear that you guys see the value in that as well. Couple of like quick fire questions for you, just on a lighter note. Death row meal, what are you having?
On the spot now.
Yeah.
A Chinese, a chicken curry, a chicken curry from. There has to be a Northern Ireland Chinese, you know. A chicken curry. Make sure prawn crackers are part of that as well.
Love that, yeah, absolutely. Same as myself, a man after my own heart. Favourite restaurant in Northern Ireland?
Favourite restaurant? You're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Maybe keep it out of the food to go space.
Yeah, I'll take it out of there.
Yeah.
So, favourite restaurant?
Yeah. If you're taking a partner or someone to somewhere fancy that you...
Yeah. There's a lovely restaurant in South Belfast, a pizza place, Nico's Pizzeria.
Right. What makes it so... What do you like about it?
It's just the quality is phenomenal.
Yeah. Fresh ingredients.
And they sell alcohol too, which is always a positive.
You're giving too much away there. Love that. One piece of advice you'd give to your younger self getting into business, what's your kind of big takeaway? What would you go back, if you had a time machine or whatever, what would you go back and say?
Don't let other people's views sway your way of thinking.
Okay.
I let that happen to me at the start.
Should have
Which,
followed your gut.
yeah, and I would think that was, I'll tell you, I would, obviously starting an association at a young age compared to other associations, they have a lot of older chief executives and people in the industries. When I started, I didn't have the appearance or speak the way of the CEO when I started off. So when I went to a mentor, a business mentor, and the first bit of advice he says was, get a new face for the industry. You can't be that. You don't speak like a CEO and you don't look like a CEO. And that was the first bit of advice, which set me back 6 months. It set me back 6 months saying I can't do this. And then I talked to someone else. I actually talked to some of the members and says, put someone else in charge, we're pulling out. We bought into you. We bought into the association. We bought into the passion that was created on. And that gave me the belief again to go and grow it. Now we have a great team from that. But I took his views to heart and that set me back 5 to 6 months. And I think now it's back to what our industry is all about. Getting the head down, doing it ourselves and not caring about what other people think. You know, the industry never cared about what other people thought and they went and became the forefront of hospitality. And I should have took that same advice back then.
Amazing. Anyone then, kind of on the more positive side of that, anyone in the industry that you've met in the last couple of years that you think would be an amazing guest on the podcast, someone you think that's contributed loads? Yeah, who comes to mind? I'm sure you've met loads of people.
Willie and Mike, who started Capers.
Okay.
They were the first pizza place opened in Belfast through the Troubles.
Wow, okay.
Now they've retired 2 years ago after 40 years in the business. So we have them. They got the Outstanding Recognition Award, the award last year.
Yeah.
But they're retired now. They were at the Stormont event last week. They're still as passionate about the industry, even though they're not working in it. But they've seen the change of times. I heard a story that one of the founders of the Chef Championship, the Chef Champions of the world, Chef Champions of the team of the world, which one of our members and one of your partners, Kieran Kelly from Pizza Crew, who just made it into the Chef Championship team. But the founder of that actually helped Willie and Mike start 40 years ago.
Wow, okay.
Advised them. And then now they retired, Kieran's just made that team. So it's a bit of
a beautiful circle, yeah.
But I would say them, because they've seen the whole, before I was born, they had their shop. Yeah. So they've seen the whole transition from the more difficult times and the Troubles to costs even. I remember he was saying to us about the cost. It was a couple of pennies for a pizza. Now you're going. So they would be great, and they would give they would give some interesting stories, I'm sure.
I would love to find out what they saw during those times, was trying to make some pizzas for the community. So I'm sure it was a tricky situation. So what does the next 5 years look like for you? What are the kind of the key goals you want to hit in that time?
Well, today we've touched on some things which are very serious and and looking doom and gloom, but it's not. Our industry is a positive industry. Our industry is growing rapidly. The figures coming from Future Food Service from the UK is we're due to grow by 48% by 2030. So this is the industry to be part of. This industry to be in. This is the industry that's going to be the forefront of hospitality. For us as an association, our aim isn't to grow, our outright aim is not to grow membership. Our aim is to support the industry. But for us to have a stronger voice, we need to grow our membership. So we hope more businesses in Northern Ireland do become members so we can grow and have a stronger voice. But in 5 years, I want our business to have the support they need, the industry to grow, and have correct data where we can actually show where our industry has came in the last 5 to 6 years.
Amazing. And that will take me on to my last question then, is where can people find you? Where can they go to sign up for to work with you and to be part of the...
Yeah, so our office is based in the centre of Belfast. Our team's there every day. or go to our website is nifoodtogo.co.uk. You can see our list of services there, and you can become a member via our website.
Amazing. And are you on any of the socials?
Yes, our socials are very active on our socials.
Great.
So we are on the Non-Iron Food-To-Go Association is on all your socials, your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and we've
Is it on X or Twitter? Are you on?
Yes, we actually are on X, and we've just started now. We're just trying out Twitter.
Oh, or TikTok.
Or TikTok, sorry. We're just trying out TikTok.
You doing a few dances yourself, are you?
I'll stay away from that one. But we've just tried it. But we're very active on all socials, and we do promote our members on our socials as well to try to gain footfall.
Great. I think it's always interesting. I think maybe my generation and a little bit younger, when they're looking to see what's going on in a certain industry or the business, I think they do look at the socials and they do go, what do they like? What's their personality? I think it's something that maybe some restaurants overlook as a means to kind of speak to your customer, right? Yeah,
and that actually brings the big part of our industry now, which is it's a delicate conversation in Northern Ireland at the minute. It's on the socials and the food blogger side of our industry. I know there's other press trying to slate the food bloggers because they don't advertise paid ads and stuff like that. But food bloggers were they were critical to our industry to get where it is.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the food bloggers, especially Northern Ireland and UK, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
The hard work these food bloggers put in behind the scenes is phenomenal. I know a lot of them personally, and I know they do it for the kind of heart. For example, Brian and Mark from the Gourmet Boys, they work tirelessly. They're retired and they're still out working tirelessly, promoting small businesses like many others. And the food blogger scene, the food influencer scene, let me say, in Northern Ireland is a critical part, is as important part of the industry as our workers in the industry, because it's all now under one machine to grow together.
Yeah.
And to them, I praise the food blogger scene, which is all the social media side.
Because I think it's difficult for some very small businesses who might, they might be of the older generation who social media doesn't come naturally to them, and they need to be in that space. And these food bloggers will give them that opportunity, right? They come along, they review their food or whatever, and then now 100,000 people have seen that small business and want to go and try the food, right?
Yeah, a lot of our small businesses I go into, many that they have their niece doing their socials, and they use the same photo of a fish or a sandwich, which is not even on their menu no more, but they just put it up because it's a photograph. They don't have a marketing team. They aren't a huge hospitality business that has, they can pay a social media expert or a marketing expert. So they just go to what they have and they just put things out for the sake of putting out. They put one out, and the social media is just, I'll just post something.
Yeah.
And they're not out, they don't know the background of gaining followers and the whole background of getting an audience. It's just a post.
Yeah.
And but again, this comes back to the support our small business don't have. This is the trend that they need to adapt to. But the food blogger scene gives them that support. They come out and you see now, in my house, there's always a food blogger on some sort of device.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing some of the reviews to some of the audience and some of them have, it's outstanding.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons we actually this year and last year to show that they're part of the industry, we actually have a Food Influencer of the Year award at our awards. And that is to showcase and let them know they are part of it.
Yeah.
They just aren't there as a social media tool. They're there as part of it. They're critical to the industry.
Yeah.
And the more the work they do, we've seen firsthand them get in saving businesses.
Yeah.
Businesses were nearly closing. One or two reviews and now they're thriving. So the power they have is remarkable.
Yeah. We had a guest on the podcast actually earlier today who was saying that after they got a food influencer to reviewed their food, they said the 3 items that they reviewed were completely sold out for the next 2 weeks. They could not make them fast enough to serve the demand. And he didn't ask that guy to come in. Your man just goes around doing it, and it like did an incredible service to his business. So I think restaurants probably need to start looking at, or small businesses need to start looking at that as a huge opportunity to get to an audience that you would never reach usually, you know?
Yeah, and again, food bloggers who now are critical to R&D, and they have it now. They're such a big part. They have a responsibility now to protect small businesses.
Absolutely.
You know, as well, they can be very positive. It can be detrimental as well.
Yeah.
But Northern Ireland food bloggers, I can't speak highly enough of them. You know, they are fantastic, and what they do for the industry is incredible.
That's amazing to hear that you're like on board with them. I want to say thank you so much for coming down and driving all the way down to join us today. Really appreciate that. So yeah, best of luck with the awards. Hopefully I'll be there again in the crowd somewhere. It was an amazing event last year, so I couldn't recommend enough for people to go and get involved with that as well.
Perfect.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.